that man has probably very little, and that man probably has everything. Right? There's a story of, who wrote Catch-22? Heller, right? So there's a story, Joseph Heller and another author were at a cocktail party on Long Island, and the other author says to Joseph Heller, he said, our host here today is a billionaire, and our host has made more money than you will ever make in the entire lifetime of you selling Catch-22. And Heller looks at him and says, well, that's okay. I have something that he will never have. And the other author said, what? And he said, enough. And so play the game. Grow your sales. It's inspiring. Have a beautiful material life. At the end of the day, how many people like a better hotel room, a beautiful suite versus a small little room and a terrible room? How many people love great wine versus cheap wine? You guys like cheap wine, do you? Life is too short for bad wine. Right? You've heard the other line, children and wine tell the truth. So have the material things. This is just my philosophy. It might not be your philosophy, but I want to go through life first class. I want to stay in beautiful hotel rooms. That's where I get some of my best ideas. I want to eat amazing food. I'm on this kick now. A lot of us have gone through the molecular gastronomy. Just give me real food, like farm to table, but that's real, beautifully prepared from fresh ingredients. How many people are in that sort of cycle of good food now in restaurants? Give me something real with a glass of excellent wine. How many people like wearing nice clothes versus torn clothes? And Geraldine's probably going, then why do you walk around the house with Crocs and ripped sweatpants? But I think, this is just my philosophy, but go through life first class. What it does to your mindset and your subconscious mind to go, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this. Yes, I'm going to have this hotel room. Yes, I'm going to fly first class. Yes, I'm taking my family downtown for dinner, and you know what? We're going to rent the SUV. So I feel like Jay-Z and Beyonce going out to dinner. Yeah. Because you want to have the mindset where you just rock it. But at the end of the day, don't allow those. This is just my philosophy, but don't allow your things to be your God. I'll tell you, if I lost everything, I would still be, well, not exactly as happy, but no, seriously. It's part of the game, and I'm enjoying it. It's fun. But, I'm my father's son. You're going to meet my dad on Thursday. And he's in his mid-70s. And the other day I was cleaning up the basement a little bit, and I saw one of the gifts he gave me when I left home to move to Toronto to work as a lawyer. And he did something I've never forgotten. He said goodbye to me at home, and then he followed me for about 45 minutes on the highway behind me. And then we pulled over to the road, and he hugged me, and he said, Robin, go fly. Only time I've ever seen my father cry, when he and I were sitting in our family room, and we saw Nelson Mandela being released from prison. Anyone remember that day? And he's one of the titans in my life. And when he turned 70, I said, Dad, what's most important? He said, Robin, family. And so I enjoy all the things, and I enjoy the fame, and I enjoy the books sold, and I enjoy the big events. But I'm my father's son, and my father is humble. My father doesn't need a lot. And I never want to betray who I am. I never want to betray how I was raised. Because to me, Buffett is one of my heroes. He said, find your own scorecard and then define your success by your own scorecard. And how many of you in this room have betrayed yourself because you're living by someone else's scorecard? And then you'll get to the last hour of your last day and you'll say, I've lived a fine life, but I haven't found success. And to go a little deeper, here's something that might be interesting. Find happiness and optimism first, and then you will be successful. How many of you in this room, you're saying to yourself, when I am successful, then I will be happy. But we're all game changers, and we're all A players. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this room. And how many of you in this room, as soon as you become successful, oh, we've doubled our sales. Oh, here's our market share. Oh, here's my personal net worth. Oh, here's my physical life. You change the game. That's what makes you successful. Every time you reach success, you take it to a next level. Show how many hands. So if you're basing your happiness and your optimism and your well-being on success, you'll never be happy and successful because you're always moving the horizon. And what I'm encouraging you to do is find happiness and optimism and meaning and fulfillment and success right where you are. And don't base it. I'm going to go through some models pretty soon. But there's two types of income. There's worldly income. And this event will help you multiply exponentially your worldly income. You've already seen the hands of the Titans alumni who were here last year who have doubled, tripled their businesses. Worldly income. Of course it's important. But the virtuosos play at a different level as well. Internal income. Internal income, the pride that you feel seeing yourself as a craftsperson. Internal income, feeling you're an instrument of service to your stakeholders. Internal income, well-being. Internal income, moral authority versus the authority that you get being the boss. And to me, that's even more important than worldly income. And we live in a world where 95% of the population is chasing worldly income versus internal income. But when you look at Van Gogh, did you know Van Gogh only sold, I think it was 2 paintings in his entire lifetime? And we look at Van Gogh and we say, oh, he must have been in it for the money. He must have been in it for the fame. Most of his life, he was starving. See, the real game changers are operating under a fundamentally different worldview and paradigm. So let me just share, before we get into my first piece of content, a little bit about my own story. So I actually grew up in East Africa. My mom is from Nairobi. That's why I have such an affection to Kenya. And like I said, I come from very humble beginnings. You know, my mom is a teacher. You're going to meet Mom. How many people want to meet my mom on Thursday? Or Friday, excuse me. And Geraldine's here, and Colby and Bianca will be here on Friday as well, so you're going to meet my entire family. So I come from very humble beginnings. I still remember my dad drove a Volkswagen. You know, the Beetle, the Bug? Right? And I called it Daddy Car. I used to go around going, Daddy Car, Daddy Car. When I was 21, I found a new name for it. And really humble beginnings, moved to Canada when I was a year old, faced a lot of adversity, faced a lot of disbelief. I've had a lot of different jobs. When I was in my teens, Bruce, you probably don't know about this, but I was a wedding photographer. Like the world's worst wedding photographer. Like I ruined people's wedding photos like that. You know what that feels like? I worked at Le Chateau. Anyone know what Le Chateau is? Menswear. You know, I never shared that before, but I used to work at Le Chateau. You know, like the parachute pants, you know, and for me, I was always competitive. Like it wasn't the money. There was a guy, his name was Glenn Monahan, and he used to give me an Orange Julius. He would say, whoever sells the most is going to get an Orange Julius. Anyone know what an Orange Julius is? It's like right. You get an Orange Julius if you get the highest sales. And I was like on fire for an Orange Julius because I wanted to see number 30 with the highest score. What else did I was a milkman. I've never shared that before. I was a milkman in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Anyone here from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia? Bruce. Of course, former bank manager, now a true titan of Canadian business. Scaled AMJ, AMJ van lines, AMJ movers, and one of the closest people, a man that we don't see each other enough, but it's so happy to have you here in the room. So, you know, Baxter Dairies, I used to be a milkman at Baxter Dairies. Then I got into law school. And I got into law school for all the wrong reasons. You talk about betraying yourself, you know. I got into law school and I went to law school because, you know, the people around me said, go to law school and you'll find success and you'll find happiness. And that's okay. Look at your past as research and development. See, victims are stuck in the past. Leaders are all about the future. And I want you, if you're still stuck in your past, to let go of your past. And how many people, the things that broke your heart actually opened your heart? Show of hands. How many people would agree with me, if you didn't have your difficult experiences, you wouldn't have the character, the grit, the acumen of who you are right now? And so you know, I went to law school. The only thing about law school is I'd wake up in the morning when I became a lawyer, and I was really successful on the outside. But I'd look in the mirror and I didn't like the person that I was, and I didn't know the person that I was. Because I was becoming someone that the world wanted me to be versus me being who I wanted to be. And it's all part of the process. So I decided to write a book, and I actually dug through my archives, because some people think the first book I wrote was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. But anyone want to see the very first book I published? I actually brought it in here. Yeah, anyone? I've got, like, seriously, I self-published it in a Kinko's copy shop. My mom was my editor. Here we've got a full house of titans from 34 countries. Game changers. My first seminar, 23 people, 21 of those people were my own family members. That first book was called Mega Living, and I had no idea how to do a cover. The cover looks terrible. I went to a passport shop and got a passport picture that I stuck on the front. Let me just show it to you. Let's go to my visualizer. And the book had a great title, 30 Days to a Perfect Life. Let me just show you. That was my first book. And it was just, you know, and that's why I don't want you to think that because I'm up here, I'm somehow different. I was just relentless. People laughed at me. I continued. I go into bookstores and say, would you carry my book? They'd say, wait at the line here. We're dealing with customers. I continued. I mean, you've heard the old line, but it's taken me 18 years to become an overnight sensation. And I was relentless in terms of innovation. I realized this cover wasn't fantastic, so I did the next cover. It was a little bit better. A little bit better, right? Like fractional improvement, 1% wins. And then I did the next cover. Well, it's not wow. You're being really nice. Wow, that's the best cover I've ever seen. Woo! But, you know, and then Extra, you know, NBC's Extra said, can you come in and talk about New Year's resolutions? So I was so scared. I got on an airplane and I flew to New York City and I went on Extra, and like they gave me like, seriously, they gave me like 4 seconds where I went, yeah, New Year's resolutions, really important. That was it. But I put as seen on NBC because they showed my book. And I just was literally, let's go back to the other screen, but I was just literally relentless about it. And I started at Kiwanis clubs and Rotary clubs. And then I wrote another book called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. And I also, that was self-published, and I've shared this very rarely. But I was in a bookstore with The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari with my son Colby, who was about 4 or 5 years old at the time. And Colby actually got me my book deal because he said, Dad, let's go to the bookstore and get a cup of hot chocolate. And there were about 4 or 5 copies of the book. There were about 4 or 5 copies of the book on the shelf. Because someone once said to me, Robin, if you give a book to a bookstore on consignment, and if you sign the bookstore can no longer return the book. So I'd go into bookstores and I'd sign every book. And I was signing the books. I was, all right, and they said, oh, hi, I'm the author. Well, we don't know who you are. Do you mind if I sign the books? Yeah, sure, why not? So I was signing the books, and my son Colby was like, I still remember it. It was in Markham, Ontario, and it was a rainy night, and Colby, I was trying to juggle him. He was sitting there like a little kid, and he was sitting on the counter, And I was holding him here, and he was drinking his hot chocolate, and he was bundled up in his snow suit because it was wintertime. And I was signing this little self-published book, 10 Years of Silence, 10 years of belief, 10 years of trusting your instinct, 10 years of faith in yourself, 10 years of iteration, 10 years of possibility while the world thinks you're crazy. And there was a gentleman with a green coat standing next to who looked like his wife. And he went, wow, this is interesting. The monk who sold his Ferrari. And I go, yeah, well, I'm a lawyer, but there's something in me. People go, you were brave. No, I wasn't brave. I wasn't brave. I had no choice. And I said, yeah, this is the book I've written, and I want to share this with the world. And it's my journey, and it's made a difference in my life, these ideas in here, and I want to get it out to other people. And he goes, oh, it's great to meet you. My name is Ed Carson. And I go, hi, Ed. It's a pleasure to meet you. And he said, I'm the president of HarperCollins. And I go, fantastic. And he pulled out his card and he said, we might be interested in your book. And I said, wow, that would be amazing. And he said, why don't you come down to the office next week? And I went down to the office the next week, and people thought I was crazy, but I said, I'm going to sell 1 million copies of this book. And they went, what? And I since have spoken to the publisher, and she goes, we didn't believe in your dream, but we believed in you. And they bought the world rights for The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari for $7,500. Yeah, ow, yeah, ow, that one hurt. I told you, right? I'm not in it for, obviously. I've since improved my entrepreneurial acumen. I promise you, I promise you. And seriously, I am in the conferences with the 18-year-olds learning how to do social. I am in the conferences learning how to be a game changer online. I am not a marketer. That's not my training. I am in the conferences learning what the best do to market. I am in the conferences learning how the most creative people are more productive, the rituals they built. I am here on this stage because I've invested in my learning. So, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari came out. It started a word-of-mouth phenomenon. I wrote other books like The Leader Who Had No Title. People like Bruce invited me to speak at their organization. I started speaking around the world. I mentioned to you I went through a divorce. That was difficult. It also served me incredibly well. Now I'm married to a fantastic woman. My 2 kids, raised them as a single father for many years. Now my son is at Queen's University. My daughter is at York University. And you remember when they were little kids, you played SpongeBob SquarePants when you were taking pictures of the 3 of us, right? And now they're in university. Someone once said to me, life goes by in a blink. Right? And it really will. Before you know it, you will be old. Your days are your life in miniature. So that's a little bit about my journey. But the first thing I want you to do is, before we get into my content, I want you to stand up. And I want you to do something I did this morning just to keep your energy high. Your energy is really awesome, but I want you to keep it high. And I want you to just, you don't have to jump up and down, but you can just stand there, bend your knees a little bit. And this is a great exercise. And you'll be surprised how hard this is and what it does for your energy. I want you to box full on for a minute. Okay? No, so literally, here's what it looks like. Anyone want to do this with me to raise your energy? Yeah, so all you do is like this. Just go like this. Bend your knees. I just threw that in. You don't have to do that. Yeah, you don't have to do that. But it's isn't that pretty cool when you do that? Just do that for a second, just for fun. Like you really mean it. No, I'm just joking with you, but you've got to have some fun when we do all this, right? So just go like this, bend over a little bit. Breathe in through your nose. Okay, and then we're just going to do some boxing to raise your energy and keep you on your game. Keep it going faster. Faster. There. Keep it going. How do they box in Egypt? How do they box in Guatemala? Give yourself a nice round of applause. Very good. Very good. So we've got 5 minutes before we get to our first break. And what I want to do is, let's go to my visualizer, please. First time I've ever shared this. Anyone want something, some fresh content that I've never shared before? Only created for the Titan Summit this year? Not everyone. Come back next year then and we'll... Now, I am so excited to share this with you. And I call it the Titan's Blueprint. Go, ah, wow. The Titan's Blueprint. And it's a complete model. I mean, I'm with you this morning, and I'm with you at the end of the days, and I'm with you in between, but we've got a full faculty here, a total powerhouse faculty. But over my time with you over these next 4 days, I'm going to go through the entire blueprint. So it's called the Titan's Blueprint. What's a blueprint? Yeah, when you build a house, before it was on digital, you'd actually get a piece of paper that was a blueprint. It would actually be blue. So this is how you build your Titan life. This is how you build being a Titan in the world. You follow the blueprint. This is how you build your Titan house, your Titanic house. Some of my friends have been sending me emails. Congratulations and good luck at the Titanic Summit. No, it's not that. It's not the. That's not the best metaphor. The Titanic didn't really do so well. So let's just call it Titan. So the Titan's Blueprint. All right. So the beginning is always your core philosophy. Get your philosophy right. Get your core right. Get your mindset right. Who you are out in the world is a reflection of what's going on inside. I call it the 4 summits. We don't have time to get into the 4 summits right now, but it's your mind, your body, your character, and your spirit. Your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit. Your 4 summits. You get your mindset right, so you install the right beliefs, then you're unstoppable. The only reason you're not undefeatable in the world is because a deep part of you is running a belief system that says you are defeatable. The only reason you are not pouring 10x value into your marketplace is because you're running a belief system of scarcity. The only reason you're not playing at mastery is because you've installed a belief taught to you by Mrs. McDonald in grade 4 or whoever who said you can't play at mastery. Be ordinary. The only reason you're not a world-class innovator is because deep inside you're frightened to leave the safe harbor of the known. That's all your mindset. That's your belief system. So you want to change your mindset. You want to change your emotional life. The only reason you're frustrated is because you have anger that you haven't worked through. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Show of hands. The only reason you don't have elite athlete level energy is you haven't worked on your physical life. The only reason you don't go into the world and give your days to a cause larger than yourself is because you haven't worked on your spiritual life. Am I making sense here? Look at the person next to you and say, you know what? That makes sense. Robin's smarter than he looks. Just go ahead. Do that for me, please. So we're in a society that says focus on the external and the internal will be okay. What I'm saying is, or suggesting with deep love, deep respect, is you want to get your 4 summits right. What are the 4 summits? Your mind, your body, your physical life. We're going to hear about that all day tomorrow. Your mind. Get your mindset right. Then you want to get your physical life right. Exercise is a game changer. World-class fitness is a game changer. It will make you more money. It will triple your income. It will give you game. Number 3, get your emotional life right. Do your gratitude. Turn your fear into love. So you walk out into your marketplace, into your organization, and you are loving. Be the most loving person in the room. Be the most giving person in the room. The giving person. Give your customers, I call it the 10x value obsession, 10 times the value of their investment. And they will become your fanatical followers. How did I build a global brand? Pouring value into the marketplace. And then the 4th summit, your spiritual life, Rick. And to me, my spiritual life is walking out into the world. You know what one of my focal points was last night in deep preparation? It was leave my ego in my hotel room and walk into the door this morning as an instrument of service. And am I perfect? No. But I work at it more than you could ever imagine. The amount of time I spend meditating and journaling and reading the books and going to the conferences and walking in the woods thinking, how can I be a better human being? How can I be a better man? How can I serve more people? How can I have less ego? How can I uplift the people around me? I spend so much time on that. How many people you go to all these conferences and you go, I don't know why I'm still where I am. Show of hands. Just me? Give yourself some credit. Someone once said to me, actually it was Ed Carson, what does the fish know of the water within which it swims? How many people in this room are perfectionists? So you give yourself some credit. The world around you probably thinks you're awesome. And deep inside, we're still thinking. And this is part of our winning formula too. How many of you in this room, super honest, you just think everyone else is just amazing and you're just a beginner? Show of hands. Yeah, that's also part of why we are relentlessly focused on getting better and better. So, the Titans blueprint. The core. The 2 incomes. So this is the core of it all, the 2 incomes. After we come back from the break, we're going to get into that. Iconic is in the middle. That's our goal, to become iconic. So the 8 forms of wealth, also part of that core philosophy we're going to work on. So you've got the goal of iconic, you've got the 2 incomes, you've got the 8 forms of wealth. What else does it take to build that core philosophy to become iconic? The 7 muscles. The 7 muscles. Anyone like my writing? Terrible, isn't it? And then I call this the 10 leaps. You're going to love this. I can't wait to share it with you. The 10 leaps. And this forms the core philosophy I want you to install. Core philosophy, which will drive your daily tactics. When we come back from the break, I'm going to get into the 2 incomes, but just to give you a little teaser, the 2 incomes, I mentioned it. The first income is worldly income. Give me some examples of worldly income. Well, it's your annual income, correct? How about fame? Anyone agree with me? Fame. What else? How about title? Is that a worldly income? Yes. It's who I am in the world. Look at my title. It's an income. It's a payment. Okay, I can see we have to work on this one, but to me it's like so clear. And it's okay. But it's like the worldly incomes. You're getting paid by your title. You're getting, let me put it to you this way, it's a payoff you get from the world. Look at my title. Look at my income. Look at my possessions. Is that a bit more clear? And then the virtuosos or the icons have another income that they play at. And those other things are fine. But it's an internal income. It's their own internal payment mechanism. And what would that be? And we'll go into it deeper after the break, but pride of craft. Pride of craft. I see my work as my craft. I don't really even care about whether, fine, peers, if peers like what you do, that's a payoff. But I want you we've got billionaires in the rooms, we've got decamillionaires in the room, we've got people who are at $10 million, $20 million, we've got people in IT, we've got people in manufacturing, we've got people running schools. Do you see your work as your art? Do you see your work as your craft? I don't read books. I study books. I master books. Are you on a path of mastery of your craft? What do you do, Scott? We've met at Titan last year, correct? Yes. It's great to see you back. And if my memory serves me correctly, you're from the U.S. Yes. Where about? Philadelphia. Philadelphia, great Philly. So what do you do? I'm an OBGYN and infertility. You're an OBGYN and infertility doctor. Okay. I know you do, but do you see your work as your craft? And actually, Scott, it's interesting. Surgeons who had been surgeons for 20 years, it's not just going to work and being a surgeon that makes great performances. Are you with me so far? Show of hands. It's a certain type of practice. So we know the science, the work of Anders Ericsson, the preeminent researcher in the field of exceptional performance. And other authors have made the 10,000 rule famous, but it comes from Anders Ericsson. And here's what he found. If you look at any great performances, it was 2.44, this is game-changing information, 2.44 hours of practice every day for a minimum of 10 years. And the gentleman's name that I wanted to remember is Boyle, John Boyle, Carnegie Mellon University. He coined the term 10 years of silence. Did you know for the first 10 years of Mozart's composing of music, they were mere curiosities. He didn't produce anything amazing. Most people don't produce anything amazing those first 10 years of silence. So now you see them in the full glory of them being able to bend the ball like Beckham. You see the chess champion. You see the violinist. You see the world-class OBGYN. You see the epic entrepreneur and you go, how does he execute like that? You see a world-class business builder. How does she do it? You haven't looked at the backstory, the grit, the frustration, the failure, the messiness they endured for 10 years plus. And so today, release the seduction and the illusion of genius. It's about hard work. It's about strategy. It's about building the right habits. It's about installing the right conditions, and you can get there. And so the great surgeons, if you just go to work and you're a surgeon or an OBGYN, and you do that for 20 years, you can be 20 years later at the same level of performance that when you first started out. There's a lot of managers and accountants they were studied. They were at the same level of performance as beginner managers. What was the difference between the epic performers? It was the quality or the type of practice. It was called deliberate practice. Deliberate practice. They would literally go to work and say, I want to be a world-class OBGYN. They would look at the game tapes. Well, maybe it's not the best example, but they would look at the surgical videos. They would analyze their performance yesterday. They would ask themselves questions like, how can I make tomorrow the surgery even better? What events do I need to go to? Who do I need to be around to play it epic and iconic? And so let me just challenge you. Every single day, are you practicing deliberately, intentionally? 1% wins. So after the 2 incomes, then we're going to get into 8 forms of wealth. Money is only one form of wealth. There's 7 other forms of wealth. And we're going to get into the 7 muscles. Most people think just a muscle is a physical muscle. How many people believe that execution and taking action is really important to building a world-class company and a world-class life? Perfect. How many people have seen those people? I was around a group of superstars recently. It's probably a group of about 20 people, and someone in the room recognized an opportunity, and literally he stood up and he said, I'm going to write the check, count me in. And to me, that was super inspiring. It's like, you know what? World-class performers never leave the sight of an opportunity without taking some action. They're that fast. Oh, really? I need to read this book? Fine. They pull out their device and they order it. But we see these people, and again, we fall into the seduction of thinking they're cut from a different cloth. They're gifted. They're not gifted. They've worked the muscle for a long period of time until it's their default. How about something like simplicity? How many people have you seen world-class performers and they have this ability to simplify things? Complexity is simplicity. Show of hands. That's a muscle. It's a muscle. So we're going to go through the 7 muscles, and then we're going to wrap up the core philosophy with the 10 leaps. These are the 10 separation points between ordinary producers and world-class producers. The 10 differences between ordinary producers and world-class producers. And that is going to give us the core philosophy. And then after that, we're going to get into the Titan's mindset. We're going to get into a concept called rituoplasticity. How do you install habits? How many people in this room would like to install world-class habits? You see, it's a key point here. Epic performance is less about natural talent and more about your daily habits. Install the right habits, and great work, epic performance, takes care of itself. Okay, how many people have learned a lot of great things so far? Show of hands. How many people are feeling excited so far? Show of hands. How many people are ready to come back after the break and just hit it? Show of hands. How many people want more massages over these next 4 days? So what we're going to do is we are going to take a half-an-hour break. And can I ask that everyone's back on time? So we just, yeah, is that all right? So we're going to come back at 10 minutes after 11. Can you be seated 10 minutes after 11? So I have so much I want to share with you. So let's be seated 10 minutes after 11. Have a fantastic break. Give yourself a nice round of applause.